Look at this. That is the array, that is a 2D array or the multi-dimensional array example. We are using the for loop. We are using the for loop. What we are doing, we are just printing each and every array element into the screen. Each and every elements into the screen. Now look at this. What I have done here, class multidimensional array. The name of the class is the multidimensional array. Public static void main string args, the main method I have declared. Now the simple array declaration, that is the multi-dimensional array declaration, integer the array, and the way same thing, -4 is there. Don't get confused just because of that minus value. That will not do any kind of mathematical mathematical thing into that array. That will be printed. That is just a value, -2, -4, -5. This is just the value that will not do any kind of mathematical calculation. I'm using the for loop. I am just printing the array elements, that -2, -4, then that -5, those just like the simple 1 3 7 6 9. Simple. That will be printed in your screen. Use that as it is. That -2 will be printed in the screen, -5 will be printed in the screen. That minus whatever the values, minus values I've added, just because of that, we are not doing any kind of mathematical calculation. Just a value or just an array elements I have added. That in the minus, the array elements in the first row, 3. In the second row, there are 4 columns. In the third row, there is 1. Every array element into the screen. How can I do that? Using the for loop and using the nested for loop. That means for loop we all know. Nested for loop, do we know actually? Do you have any idea what is that nested for loop? Hello, do you have any idea what is that nested for loop is? Yeah, actually for loop. Okay, for loop under a for loop. So what I have done, we are using 2 for loop. Is for doing the thing like an rows and the columns or the table format. If I wanted to store the data into the table format, that time we can use the is for the column. Second one is for, sorry, first one is for the rows, second one is for the column. That same thing I am using, and that is called the nested format. Please mute yourself. Actually, background noise is coming, Deepa.
Sorry, sir.
So look at this 2 for loop I am using. Look at this. For int I equals to 0, I less than a dot length plus plus I. For int j equals to 0, look at this, that for loop under that, then after declaring that for loop, I have started the body for the for loop, that I have started here. Again, j equals to 0, j, and under that again using the curly braces, I have created that here I and the j. Try to understand that particular nested for loop. That loop under a loop, that is called the nested loop, just because it is a loop under a loop. Now, 2 loops we are using. Same works for the column. Same thing. First loop for will calculate you the rows. Second loop will calculate the column as rows. Loop under the loop I have, that loop I am using, that will calculate. In the previous example, what is happening? We are like using the pre-increment and the post-increment. Friends, what is that pre-increment? Again, background noise is coming. Someone has unmute yourself. Okay, thank you. That in the previous example, whatever that I plus plus we are using, right? I plus plus, but here we are using plus plus I. That means that previous one was the post increment. That one is the pre increment. Post increment, that means it will increase the value later. Post increment, that is increase the value first. So for int I equals to 0. Okay, very good. I equals to 0. I have variable I have declared. I, that means 0 less than a dot length. What is that a dot length? What is that a dot length? That means first one I have told you that first one is for the column. So first one is for the rows. That means that first one here you're mentioning a dot length. That means it will 0 0 less than a dot length. That means a dot length is what? That first is it that it is that if that condition is become true, so it will increase the value 0. Sorry, 0 plus entering the j equals to 0, j less than a I. What is the value of I? it is calculating the length is that of the println that I am placed here, that in the place first box is for the row, second one is for the column. That means the whatever of j, it is coming here. That means zero number of rows, zero number of columns, whatever the j. Let me explain properly. Okay, let's go. Zero less than a dot length. What is the length of that column is? What is the length of that rows? Hello?
3.
3.
Hmm. That 3, yes, that condition is became true. Int j equals to 0, 0 less than length, that means it is calculating a 0. That means the calculating dot length, 0 number rows length is again 3. So it is again condition number of rows. Sorry, 0 number of rows, 0 number of columns, whatever the part. It will again increase. Now it is 0 plus 1, that is 1. Now the value of j is became 1. Then is became true. So it is entering that it is increasing the value of j, not I. Until it became false, it will not go to that I integer unless that condition is not become true. Try to remember, it is quite difficult. So now the value of j is that I, 0 number of index, that 0 number 0 is that 1 is less than 3. Yes, value of j is what? System that is 1. That means system out of println 0 have been increased by 1, so it is became 1. So 0 number of row printed in the screen. After that, again it is going to the plus j. That means it is again increasing the value. Value was j, so it is increasing by 1, so plus 1, it is checking the condition that 2 is less than a I dot length, that is 3. Is that condition true? Yes, that now that whatever the value, that I is again remaining that 0, but j have been increased to the 2 in 3. Now 3, now that 3, the value of j is become, that is also 3. That means 3 less than 3. Is that condition true? No, that condition is false, become, because that 3 is equals to 3. In that j part, that nested for loop part, that second loop, that one became false. After that, again it is going to the first loop, that is 0. That previous one is I value is 0, increasing 0 plus 1, that is then a dot length. If that condition, again value of I is become 1, and now 1 is less than 3, is that condition is true? Yes, that 1 is less than 3, that condition is true again. Now again it is coming to the nested for loop part. J equals to this what? That j length is what? That j length is 4. That column is j less than ai dot length. That means just gone to that first for loop, and in that time we have increased the value of I from 0 to 1, because 0 is 1. Now a1 dot length, that means a rows, that is the length of the second rows, that is the one number of index. Second rows is the one number of index, rows number 2, but a1 index number, rows number 1 is 4. So it is checking j is, it is printing now that I is 1, that j is 0. That means 0 number row minus 4. After that, again it is increasing the, now the value of j is became 1. 1 is less than, again it is system out of println I is now 1, but the j is also became 1. So what, that again it will increase the value of I by 1. Now it is became 1 plus 1, that is 2. 2 less than 4. Yes, again that condition is became true. So I is 1, that means the row number 1, and j is 2. So one number of 6. Again it will increase by 1, that 2 plus 1, that is 3. 3 less than 4. Yes, again that condition is became true, and that j is 3. So that means one number of index 9. After that it will again increase, and into 4, 4 less than 4, it became false. So again it is going to the I part. That condition is became false, again it is going to that first for loop. Now that I will be increased by 1. That means 1 plus 1, that is 2. Now 2 a dot length is entering, because that length one element is there, but 0. Here I am mentioning the length, but the using the I, that length equals to that 3 and 3. Here for loop j equals to 0, j less than 1. Yes, that condition is became true, j is 0. So two number of rows, 0 value. Now again that j here, that column number size is so true, so it will not go, it will go to that first for loop. Now it is, that is, it is checking that 3 is less than 3. No, because 1 2 3, that 3 is less than 3. No, that condition is became false, so it will stop in new screen. Using that nested for loop, what we are doing, we are printing each and every array element in the table, column and table format. Is that program clear to you all, or anyone having any issue? Hello?
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Everyone, please execute that example.
Dancer. Done, sir.
You are muted.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. I haven't noticed that I'm mute. Okay. The Java methods. What is that? A method is a block of code which only runs when it is called. That means a method is a block of code until and unless you are not calling that particular code. That means you are not getting any output from that. That means that method you have declared into that method is what? Block of code. A block of code you have written, you that is called method. That method you need to, if you want to get any output from that method, in that time you need to call that particular one, then only you can get the output from that particular method. You can pass data known as parameter into a method. You can pass data into that method. That method we are declaring, we will declare into that method. We can pass some data also. We can pass some data also known as parameter. Remember that switch case. What is the sign of that method? That round braces open and close. That is the sign of the method. Remember the switch case. Into that switch case, switch, suppose int day 4, a variable I have declared switch, and within that round braces I am passing that day, right? Remember, are you remembering that switch case part? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Into that switch case, into that round braces I have declaring that day. into that place of that in that into in under the round braces. Switch that round braces, switch is round braces. I am mentioning that day. That means that is that into that round braces, whatever that I am mentioning, that variable. That is actually the place of the parameters. That round braces, that place is the parameters. If you are not understanding, just this is just a simple theory. Just go through that. If you are not getting anything from that theory, it's okay. We are coming to the example. In that time, everything will be clear to you. Methods are used to perform certain action and they are also known as function. Just told you that in the C++ that is function, and that same function is in the Java, that is called the method. In Java it is method, C++ it is function. You can, if you say function or method, whatever you can say, that is the same thing. Why use method? To reuse the code. Suppose I have written a block of code, and that particular block of code I don't want to write it in the different. Suppose you are writing a big program, and into that program, that same code you don't want to write again and again and again. Suppose in the line number 10 you want to use that particular code, same code. In the line number 20 again you want to use that particular block of code. Again line number 30 you want to use that particular block of code. Is but I want to use that particular block of code in the line number 10, line number 20, line number 30, line number 40, line number 50. But I don't want to write that particular block of code again and again. Okay. That particular block of code again and again and again. In that time, that method, if you are writing that block of code using the method by declaring the method, just need to call the method name in the line number 10, line number 20, line number 30, line number 40, line number 50. You can use that, you can access that particular method. Like the variable, suppose you are writing any program, and you a variable you have declared, that is integer a equals to 10, and that a equals to 10, whenever you will call that system.out.println, that a, that will return you that 10. In that time you don't need to declare that variable multiple times. That kind of same thing is the method. Once you have declared or you have created the method, whenever you want to access that particular block of code that you have written, just need to call that method, and that particular block of code will be executed there. Create a method. A method must be declared within a class. It is defined with the name of the method followed by the parenthesis. You can say this is a round braces, or you can say this is a parenthesis. Java provides some predefined methods such as system.out.println. Look at this println. That println, after that the round braces is there. That means I have told you, whenever you have see that round braces or that parenthesis is there, that means this is a method. That means that after the println there is that sign. That means this is that println is the method, but you can also create your own method to perform certain action. In my method, there is some rules. That means creating a method, that method you are declaring, you need to declare it within the class. The mandatory thing. First thing we are doing, what we need to declare the class. Without declaring the class, we can't do anything. That same thing. Whatever, if you want to declare any method, that method you can declare under the class, and it is defined with the name of the method, like the variable having their separate name. So whenever I am calling that particular variable, that is that particular one, whatever that variable name, I'm calling the variable name one by one, and it is giving the output one by one. So that means the each and every variable have the separate names. Have the same thing. We are declaring the method, and we need to give a name to that method. So we can call it by the name, and followed by the parenthesis. Like the println is the name of the method, and that parenthesis is there. Just after that println, that name of that method is a println. That after that parenthesis is there. That is the sign of method. So you need to give the name and then you need to give that parenthesis. Java provides some predefined method. That predefined method is what? That predefined thing, that same thing Java have. In Java, there are some predefined method, that min method, max method we have learned in the previous session, right? Those are the predefined method. Those I we haven't created. That those method have been created by the Java itself. Those are called predefined method, like the println. That println method have we created or Java have created? Java have created that println method. That means those are the predefined method. And not only the predefined method, in Java you can create your own method also. Now coming to the example, how we can create a method. How we can create a method? Syntax. Look at the syntax. Public class main, we need to declare the, remember the theory, we need to declare the method within the class block, right? So I have declared the class, that class name is main. Under that, static void my method. Let's go to an example. We are declaring the main method, right? Each and every class, each and every program, that is a necessary thing, that we need to declare the main method. Which one is the main method? Public static void main string args. That is the main method. That main method should be in the each and every program. Otherwise, whenever you will execute your example or execute your program, your Java JDK will look for the main method until and unless that JDK is not getting that main method, the JDK will not be able to execute the program. So main method is the main thing. This is the main method. It's having its own syntax. We cannot change anything. But why I am showing that main method to you? Look at that two keyword, public and the static. Public and the static, that two are the keyword. In the time when you are creating any kind of method yourself, in that time you need to use any one keyword from these two, either public or static. Either that method you are creating, it should be public or it should be static. For the timing, don't need to take any pressure when to use that public, when to use the static. Separate chapter it have. Okay, that means whenever you are declaring any method, either public or static, that two, from that two keyword, only one keyword you need to use. But just because this is the main method and it's have its own syntax, that's why that public and the static together I have written in the time of the main method declaration, because it is its syntax. We cannot change anything into that. But when we are creating any method for ourselves, in that time, either static or public, we need to declare in the just before the method. So that method here I have declared, that is static. That is void. Void means what? Void means null. Void means null. For the timing, void means null. And why void? That you are declaring that void. That means that method, like the variable, 8 primitive data types is there, right? 8 primitive data types is there in the Java. In the variable, whatever the data type you are mentioning, if you are mentioning the data type as string, that means that your variable can store only string type variable. If you are mentioning the int, that means it can contain only integer type. If you are mentioning char, it will contain only char. If you are mentioning string and you are that declaring a variable as integer type, that will give you an error, right? Same thing, that void means what? That method you are declaring as void, that means that your method, that void method, can return any type of data. It is an integer type, it is an string type, it is an character type, it is an float, it is an double, it is a long. Whatever the type of data, you can store into that particular variable, or that method, that void method can return any kind of data type of values. Okay, any kind of, any type of data. There is not mandatory that you need to, that method can return only integer type data, that method can only return only string type data. There is nothing, there is no bar if you are declaring your method as void. Same thing, class having its own class having its own body, for loop having its own body, same thing, that method also having its own body. So using the curly braces, I have created the body. Now class I have declared, class have its own body using the curly braces here to here. Under the class I have created a method, or I have declared a method that is a static void my method. What is that my method? My method is the name of your method, because I have told you that method you are declaring, each and every method you need to give a separate name to your method. Here I have given the name as my method. After giving the name, you need to give the sign of the method, that identification sign. What is that identification sign? That parenthesis opening and that closing together, that is the sign of that method. That sign you need to give. That means after that name you are giving that sign, that means it's became a method. After method creation, you need to declare the block of that method or the body of that method using the curly braces. Is that part clear? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now my method is the name of the method. To tell you, static means that method belongs to the main class. Forget that. I'm not coming into that static part. Okay, I'm not coming. Void. Void means that this method does not have a return value. You will learn more about return values. Okay, I've told you what is that void, because when you are declaring that method as void, that means it can return you any type of values. Integer, string, long, float, boolean, any kind of value that method can run, that can return. If you are, when you are declaring, that is a void type. Now that one is the syntax, how you can declare a method. This is a syntax how you can declare a method. So that method. Now coming to the main example, actual example, look at this. Public class main. I have created a class that name is main. I have created the body for the class. Under the class body, I have declared a method that is static void my method with the parenthesis. I have using the curly braces, I have created the method body. Okay, I have created the method body. System.out.println. Look at this. Under that method body, system.out.println, within the double quote, I just got executed. I just got executed. That method part is became closed. Public static void main, the main method, the mandatory method, that is the main method I have declaring here. After declaring the class, look at this. In the previous example, we are doing what? We are declaring the class, we are declaring the class body. Under the class body, we are declaring the main method. But in that particular example, under the class block, we are declaring the method that we are creating ourselves. After declaring the method, after that we are declaring the main method, and within that main method body we are just doing nothing, just calling the method, that method I have created here, my method, that method I am calling here. So that method I am directly calling here, that means that method I am calling, that means it will return you, I just got executed, that body, method body. Under the method body, whatever the programming you have done, that part will be executed in your screen whenever you are calling that particular method. And if you are not calling that particular method, that time it will not, this program will not return you anything, because if you are not calling that method you are not calling, you will not get that output. If you want to get that output, you need to call that method, because in the time of that, in the theory, there is written that a method you are declaring, after declaring you need to call the method. Until and unless you are not calling that method, you will not get any output from that method. So if you want to get that output that I just got executed, if you want to get that one, that time you need to call that particular method, because that one is under the class and the method body. So for that one, you need to call that one. Is that part clear?
Yes, sir.
That method is very easy. Execute that one. Everyone understood, no? Anyone having any issue in that particular method part? Hello?
No, sir.
Okay. So execute that program example, everyone. Just a minute. So that will be the last topic. Otherwise, the next topic will be Java method parameters. That's another topic. So I'm not going forward to this because this is the last topic. Please execute that program.
Done, sir.
Everyone done?
Sir.
হচ্ছে 5 মিনিট। Is it done, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.